Thank you.
And thank you so much. The book has been really inspiring, and I think every page of it. And actually, I want to read it again and again before I am that I'm able to ask any questions. I mean, you know, to,
I am so humbled, and I feel that's one of the best feedbacks any author can get actually, because the aim was for people to concentrate on the message and focus on what I'm trying to say instead of
right.
my story. And if I have managed to do that, so I think some part of the mission is accomplished.
And thank you so much. Actually, many of the questions were answered. The questions which I had in my head or in my heart were answered as I was reading the book.
Oh,
So, I mean, the book has actually answered all my questions, and it's a pleasure. And I hope you come up with another book very soon. And
I am.
really, that's
Yes, I
wonderful.
am. Two
And
more books, hopefully, by the end of this year. Let's
lovely,
see.
lovely,
Yeah, let's see.
lovely.
It's good to
Thank
see you. We have never met, so I'm
Yes,
so grateful to such platforms that's connecting people so beautifully.
actually.
And thank you for being here. It's an honor for me too.
Thank you, me too. Thank you so much.
God bless. So,
Bye bye.
bye
Yeah.
bye. Bye. And let's see if people have questions. Let's just start with questions, and whoever wants to join will join us in between. So if anyone has question, can unmute and raise your hand so that I see and I take your name and we can go one by one. Or maybe I should ask a question. So, as Nidhi has already voiced it, I want to understand how easy was it for you guys to read and how easy was it to grasp what I'm saying? Um, of course, the language is easy, that I know, which was purposefully done, and also because that's my English. But other than that, I want to know which part of the book you could connect the most to, and what is the one message that each one of you has got from the book, if you could share.
Hello, am I visible?
Yes, yes, you're visible and audible both.
Audible also. Hi.
Hi, yeah.
This is the first time I'm attending some webinar, so I don't have much idea about it.
That's fine. That's fine. We learn.
Yeah. So the book is actually very wonderful. It has
Mhm.
helped me um, at a very deeper level to understand many mistakes of my life, many questions of my life, and the book was that I'm meeting you personally. So the book gave me a substitute for the personal sessions also somewhere. So,
So I actually spoiled my own business.
no, it made me
Not
more inquisitive to meet you actually.
Thank
So
you.
I have one question also, ma'am. It is on page number 50, what you said. Can I read
One
that
second.
paragraph?
Yes, yes, please do that.
It's on page number 50, the first paragraph only.
Mm-hmm.
The only solution is in becoming aware of ourselves and all aspects of our being. By
Mm-hmm.
being in the present moment and to be fully aware of what we think, how we feel, what we say and do, we can take care of the present and any possible future karma. So I
Mm-hmm.
had a doubt in this, that
Mm-hmm.
how in the next paragraph also I've said when we become wise, we can change our karma.
Yeah.
So is it really possible when we become wise, when we become conscious of our thoughts and actions, we can change our karma at any deeper level?
Yes, it is very true because the law of karma talks about cause and effect.
Hmm.
At every moment, you are causing some action, some thought, which will have a consequence, which is the effect. So today we are actually going through a karma which the cause was in either previous life or even 2 minutes ago, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So when I become aware today, see, at the realm of the spirit, there is no time.
Hmm.
Everything is happening at this moment. Your past, present, and future is happening at this moment. Your perception of the distance you have from that moment when things is happening creates the illusion of time. Okay, so if you're changing your thought today, let's say till yesterday you would take a rupee extra every day from someone, and today you realize that this is something which is not the right thing and you want to change it. The moment this thought has come, it is not only affecting your today but also your future karma. And because you have become aware of the dark side of you, that probably you were not being honest with someone for so many days, you're actually removing the root cause from there also. Because from now on, you will have more compassion. From now on, you will watch yourself so that you never do the same thing to another person. So because at the realm of spirit, there is no present, past, and future, the moment you become aware of something and you actually also consciously take action to change it, from now on, you shouldn't be doing it. If you do that, you're diluting the past karma, maybe not eliminating it 100%, but you're not creating any more future karma and you're rectifying your present. Even in Bhagavad Gita, it says, no, it's only the wisdom, the fire of wisdom which burns the karma. So wisdom you're acquiring today, but your karma is coming from past. But because the wisdom is all pervasive, it is going to affect all your lifetimes, your entire consciousness and awareness, it changes karma.
So that powerful is to be conscious of your thoughts and actions.
Absolutely.
That powerful.
Yes, it's extremely powerful.
Okay, so thank you so much. One of my doubt is clear. I have so many doubts. Maybe some other can ask.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Anyone else with a question?
I think Suman is there.
Suman, please show us your book.
She needs
We want to see your book. It's like full of underlines and highlights. I love that. Okay. Also, can you share? Suman, you're muted. You unmute yourself so that we can hear you. Just unmute. Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. Okay. Hi. Sorry, don't mind my appearance.
That's perfectly fine. You look lovely.
Hi, Sheena.
Hi.
Sheila. Hi. We are meeting after the first module.
Yeah.
After a long time.
Happy New Year.
Come on, yaar.
Okay, any questions? Let's concentrate on the book. Any questions?
Okay. Sir, on page number 199.
Okay.
Page number 199, first, second, third paragraph where the law of gender indicates that everything in nature and this universe has a masculine and feminine aspect to it, and that everything has a gestation period to actualize. I want to know what is this gestation period.
So it's like, please don't mind guys my language, but this is the real me, so bear with me. It's like, let's say you love a person and you want to have a kid with that person, right? Okay. You make love, you wait 9 months. That's gestation period. And if you make love 10 times a night, you cannot have the child tomorrow. No matter how much effort you're putting in. You have to wait, right?
Yeah.
That is the gestation period. So whenever we put a seed of thought and whenever we have an intention and whenever we desire something, we need to realize there are two polarities which are governing what we desire. And also there is a period, there is a divine timing for everything to happen. So the gestation period is basically for that thought, that feeling, that desire to come to an actualization, and then you see the fruit of it. If you plant a seed for, let's say, apple tree, you can't get apple the next year. You have to wait a few years till the fruit tree becomes strong and can bear the fruit. So that period is the gestation period, and the entire nature abides by it. But we get very vested because we feel that time is a reality. We don't realize that time is actually an illusion, and we want to force everything through. So when we do that, we put the entire universe out of balance, including the feminine and masculine.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Good. अब कोई और पूछ रहा है?
Now you can keep asking, then maybe that will prompt other people to come up with their questions.
Hi,
Oh.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, hi, who's this?
Hi, this is Dr. Shiba this side.
Yeah, hi Shiva, hi. Yeah, please go ahead. You can ask.
Yeah, Sahar, I wanted to ask you about the Ho'oponopono technique,
Mhm.
that in which there are 4 steps which have been mentioned, and in which there's a beautiful example of how people in prison had been healed by this technique as well.
Yes, that's a true story actually. It's a real story.
Yeah, as I just wanted to know, like using this technique, suppose if you have a person who is really, someone of your family members or someone, and you use this technique, are things going to change using this? Because sometimes, there are things which happen on a day-to-day basis which may not be really very pleasant or something disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
So how is this technique going to help? Because it can be on a day-to-day basis which is going on. Like it's not a one event which has happened, and
Mhm.
after that there's nothing, and you're traumatized by one event.
Yeah.
It could be small day-to-day events.
Yeah, I can understand that. Now, it depends from which space we are practicing whatever I have said. Whatever I have said in the book and whatever I actually preach and also practice myself is that it is very important what is our intention of practicing something and what have we understood by, let's say, Ho'oponopono or any technique for that matter. Now, the Ho'oponopono, if I am practicing it because I want to get rid of an event, is coming from a space of helplessness. So it will bring more helplessness. If I'm practicing Ho'oponopono because I truly have understood the topic and I've understood the essence of this practice, and I am practicing it because I truly believe that anything in my environment is created by me and I am responsible and only I can change it, then it's going to change your environment and the people around you. You see the difference?
Yeah.
So
first we
your
have to take the
intent,
full responsibility.
yes, and your intent before you want to do. Am I doing this because I want to change someone, or am I doing this because I feel knowingly or unknowingly I'm responsible for it, and I'm going to take charge of it, and I'm going to take responsibility and change it. Now, from whatever space you operate, that will change the outcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a
Thank you.
sigh.
Very, very deep rooted. Very, very deep rooted. Ho'oponopono.
Okay, so can I ask the question now? Next question.
Yes, sure, of course. Please go ahead.
It's on
Why
page
not?
number 46,
Mm-hmm.
third paragraph.
Okay.
So it is, today I know my greatest purpose is to be me. Ma'am, if you can just clarify, to be me is thoda sa zyada. Me is what here? To be me, I can understand.
Me
या
is,
4-5 बुक्स लिख देगी शहर इस पे तो.
me is the me that who is Sahar, but not Sahar who looks like this, but the soul. Now the soul, no soul wants to be imprisoned. No soul wants anyone to tell them what to do. Every soul is a wanderer and explorer. We are here to experience. That's the essence of why we are here. This life is for us to experience and learn our way. Now, if my mom has told me how I need to behave, how I need to sit as a woman, and the society has told me if you want to be a woman of substance, this is how you dress up, this is how you talk, this is how you take your napkin and tap it on your lip, and this is how you behave with men, and this is whatever, all those conditioning is not me. I'm not saying those things are bad. Those things are absolutely fine. But if those things are making you feel comfortable and that is innately you, please do it. But if something is not you, you should not do it. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I attended a birthday party. First of all, my intuition was saying this is not your place to be in. My whole body was in contraction. I didn't want to be there. I didn't, till the last minute, I had not decided what I want to wear. And somehow I wasn't happy going, even though I dearly love the person whose birthday was, a very dear friend. eventually, you know, the society, you have obligations and you have to comply. So I went 15 minutes into that place and I was feeling I am in a prison, and I was just looking for some way to run away from that. So that is not me. It may be the best party in town, it may be the most entertaining place, but if it is not me, it is not me. I need to honor it. And then the me also does not want to lie and tell the host that, you know, why I'm leaving. The me wants to be honest and tell, you know what, this is not my place, dude. I don't belong here. I want to go. So if I can be choosing my truth and do the self-care at the level where if I am uncomfortable, I can freely express politely, we don't have to be rude, express that I am uncomfortable and why is it that I don't want to be here. And yes, the person may feel bad, may judge me, may do this, may do that, but it's fine. Then that is me, right? But when we do things which are not us, a lot of us, we praise people we don't mean. We do some work we don't want to do. We are tired as women like hell, but we will still put our best, you know, face up and wear that, you know, sexy sari and go to a wedding, and we can't say no to our whoever because we fear that we would be judged, we would be rejected, they will not call me again. So anywhere you're discounting your feelings and your comfort, not because you're selfish, but because you genuinely can't gel or belong to that place or do that thing. You're tired, you don't want to lie, you want to express yourself freely. Wherever you discount that and wherever you do things which are not according to your liking, then you're actually not being you, right? Then you are someone else, someone the society has made out of you. So that is not connected to your soul. I hope you have understood it.
Yes,
If not,
yes.
I can explain more.
So it means for everybody, the greatest purpose is to know about that inner, to know me.
Yes, and be that expression. If I have come with this face, I have come with this, you know, role to sometimes be a therapist, sometimes be an author, sometimes be whoever, a sister. At the time I am in that role, I need to honor who I am in that role. A lot of us will try and control our loved ones with our love. We think we love them, and we try to say things because we fear losing them. But if we deeply look at it, we are doing that out of fear and we want to control that relationship because we fear losing them.
So as a parent, sometimes kids
it can be parents, it can be partner, it can be friend, you know.
So it means
we think we are
space.
helping, but we are not helping, we are interfering. Yeah.
True. Oh, yeah. It's interfering actually. So giving space to know everybody about their own self is important.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you
Most
for this.
welcome. Most welcome.
I'll search for more questions now.
No, it's okay.
Can I ask a
Nidhi?
question?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure, Nidhi. Go ahead.
Actually, taking a cue from the discussion, if you love somebody, you know, and you're trying to control or whatever it is called, but at the end, you also change yourself, you know, you adjust. Like if you're in a relationship and you love that person, you change yourself for that person. So what is it? Is it wrong? And if you fear you know, losing that person, is it being selfish? What is it?
So it depends. It depends to what extent you want to change for someone. Let's say I fear losing someone, and I go to the extent of going through physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. I lose confidence. I lose the sense of who I am. I get into depression. Do you think that kind of relationship would be worth keeping, no matter how much you think you love the person? And honestly, in such cases, we don't love the person. We fear loneliness so much that we are ready to stoop to any level and lose our self-confidence, self-worth, and because self-worth and self-love, hey, we don't have it. So we are ready to lose how much ever little of us is left so that the person does not leave us. And that doesn't come from real love. That's coming from lack of loss of someone. It's about losing someone's love. You know, we are compromising and we are staying in situations if that is that extent. Sometimes you're not compromising. So when you're not compromising, the difference is you love someone, you adjust around it, but you don't lose your identity. You don't lose who you are. You don't stop doing what you're supposed to do. Like for me, I no more watch TV, and okay, some part of it because there's a lot of nonsense on TV, but now there is Netflix and this and that, so you can choose what you want to watch. But I realized I lost interest because the time I was married, I was not allowed to watch what I wanted to watch. So I gave up because it was better not to have conflict and those frictions than, you know, just watching TV. So I stopped watching TV. Now, if that is why you are compromising, then you're losing yourself.
Right.
This is a very small example. There are a lot of people who don't work, who stop working, who stop, who don't let go of very weird relationships, which is heading nowhere. And they're scared of trying something new or starting a new, fresh relationship because they have lost themselves already in the previous one. Because there's so much of fear of that I'm not good enough to have another person coming.
Okay. And Seher, you have written a whole chapter about prayer. So I want to know, if you're praying, you say that the universe controls everything and the things, they take their path and you just follow along. Then the role of prayer, doesn't praying make you selfish? I mean, generally, what do we pray for? Normal human instincts are we pray for family, we pray for children, we pray for parents. So
but what do we pray for? But what do we pray for? How do you pray? Let's say you pray for someone. How do you pray?
We pray for the well-being or our close family,
Okay, so that's what the whole thing is. How do you know what you want them to have or be is their well-being? Like a lot of people, especially mothers, they ask me in every workshop, I am really praying for my son to get to so-and-so school. How do you know that's a good school?
We are thinking on a very, obviously, the superficial level, no?
Yeah. So when we pray,
yeah.
So when we pray, we need to pray for their highest good. And the highest good may not necessarily be the school or the, the outcome that you desire or even they desire.
Okay.
Right? And we pray knowing. We pray from a space of knowing that whatever is happening right now is already the best. And I'm going to pray for it just to become better and better and better. So if I'm praying from helplessness and I'm praying from fear and I'm praying from a space of that nothing in this life is good enough and we are suffering, so maybe my prayer will change something. Your prayer is going to be unheard because the yak we do, the universe does not understand. The universe only understands the feeling. So if I'm praying from fear, the universe will give me more fear, law of attraction. If I'm praying with a space of, from the space of gratitude, the true gratitude, not again saying thank you, but really feeling that no matter what it is because something higher is there. Either I understand the lesson so that I can co-create with the universe and create something new and better. Or if it is not a lesson, it is just a gestation period as I answered in the previous question by Suman. So then we pray from a space of faith and gratitude, and we only pray for their highest good. And the highest good is not necessarily what I or you think is the highest good. It can be something else.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. So from this discussion only, I have got a question, ma'am.
Thank you.
So you said we fear from loneliness.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So as I messaged you personally also about my kids, so I also had that fear of being lonely. So, but just now you said when we pray for the highest good and for the space of gratitude, then things changes. No?
Yeah.
So, is that when as a parent we pray for their highest good will change their karmic pattern also?
No. No. Their karmic pattern will change when they come to a space where they would be wise enough to change their pattern. That is why, as a therapist, so we get a lot of people who, I shouldn't be, it's a very subjective thing. I get a lot of people who want me to do something for their child. One of them is you, Shweta. I cannot interfere with the child's karma. Only if the child wants to heal his or her karma, and only if the child is 18 or actually 21 and above, someone like me can come in the scene and help them. I understand the helplessness of the parents, but I also understand interfering with someone's karma is a bigger karma than letting them suffer.
But as a parent, do we also interfere in their karma then?
So basically, as parents, they have come to remind you of your karma. You heal and your child shall heal. They don't have to do much.
Achha, so if we heal, their karma will be healed.
Yeah,
Is that-
usually yes, because our children are the reminders of our karma.
Okay,
They
so
come to help us learn. We don't teach them anything. They teach us a lot.
okay, and in one of the chapters you also mentioned, unless and until we don't learn the lesson, we'll have same experiences again and again.
Absolutely, yes.
So it's important to learn the lesson first instead of teaching them.
Yes, and also the lesson, what do we understand by the lesson? Learning the lesson means I understand what in me is causing this. I understand how am I responsible for what is happening. The lesson doesn't mean, oh, I should not trust this person anymore. This is my lesson. No, it's not. That is not your lesson. The answers are always within.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank
That's
you.
quite deep, Sahar.
Actually, quite deep.
Quite deep. Okay, I had a question on, the chapter of gratitude.
Uh-huh.
Like, as you have mentioned, it's a very powerful tool. And you have also mentioned that, when you are in a low phase in your life,
Mm-hmm.
it is difficult to feel gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you feel so much of negativity around you and things not going right.
Mm-hmm.
So how to practice gratitude at that time? Because a simple verbal thing will not come from your heart. It will just be a verbal saying.
Yeah. So if you truly operate from a space, or at least remind yourself at the time of difficulty, that no matter how painful the situation is and no matter what you're going through is, it is only a phase where you missed a lesson, and this situation is trying to tell you that you have missed something, that there is a lesson unlearned, and there is a something you have missed. It can be a lesson, it can be a change in your perspective, it can be the way you look at things, it can be your thought, it can be your feeling, whatever it is. So when you understand and remind yourself continuously that, guys, can I have your phone? Yeah, please mute if you have noise in the background, because it can disturb others. So when you remind yourself that no matter what, no matter how painful this is happening because I have missed something, and the universe has no enmity with me. This hardship is trying to tell me that there is something I have missed, something in me needs to change. Then the gratitude will come naturally, because no matter how painful it is, you are at the best moment in your entire existence at that moment. You could have never been ever better than what you are at this moment. Even in this moment, we all are our best version ever we have existed, because we have evolved. We never go back. We are always moving forward. So if you remind yourself of, life is only moving forward and this is temporary, trying to teach me something, then why won't gratitude come? Then where is the question of not being grateful for being the best version of you at all times, even in time of difficulty? Isn't it worth being grateful for?
Agree.
Thanks. I also agree.
So you've also I mentioned a line, fake it till you make it.
Hmm.
So that helps even if you're practicing gratitude.
Yeah, it helps because your subconscious mind only understands repetition. So even if
Okay.
it is initially not with a lot of feeling, but because you're repeating. So what is you're repeating? You're repeating a thought. And our
Right.
subconscious mind is a consolidation of thought. And when thoughts are clubbed with feeling, it becomes much more stronger. And then it becomes actualized. But as long as it is also a thought, it has some power. So when you keep faking it, which is you're just thinking without feeling it, then one day you will make it. And then you start feeling it. And the moment you feel it, you change your reality.
Right. Hi, Sahar.
Hi.
Thank you.
You can hear me, Sahar?
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay, sorry, I'm just too new to this, so I really can't understand this. Acha, I took probably the most time in your book, in your chapter, love.
Mm-hmm.
So the self-love. So how exactly? I still feel that, self-love
Mm-hmm.
is what exactly would be the self-love? Because selfish and self-love ke beech mein there's a very fine line.
Mm-hmm.
So self-love, according to this, is what we understand is about honoring ourselves. But when I'm honoring myself, what if somebody is not, around me, people are not happy about it, or it is disturbing the peace of the family, the in-laws, or anywhere that you're staying. So
So when
that
I
is not self-love.
No, it is self-love, but it depends how we express self-love and how we operate from that space. So
Okay.
when I have self-love, it means I also take responsibility for everything that is happening and also everything that is not happening. So if you're practicing self-love is disturbing the family, you need to check where in your belief system you think that if I take care of myself, other people would be upset. Because I so not deserve to take care of myself, then someone has to come and mirror and project my belief of unworthiness of self-love. And then that disturbance I feel, and then I will stop loving myself again. You get it how
Okay.
our mind works?
So it's basically like a paradox that we create for ourselves.
Yes, our family members and everyone around us is continuously mirroring or projecting what we think about ourselves. So if I want to practice self-love, I would be operating with such smoothness and I would be conveying and I would be the expression of the reflection of who I am so beautifully that everyone will have no choice but melt into it. Because if
Right.
I honor myself so much, I would also honor them so much and there would be no question of conflict. But when I'm mimicking self-love and I'm not really operating from self-love, but I've
That's
read
when
it
I'm
and I want,
creating, correct.
yeah. So the
Yeah.
worthiness and deservability is not there. So if I don't feel I deserve, but I'm
It's
just
on the
trying to do
sub.
something, they will show you that, listen, dude, you don't deserve it. What are you trying to do? They're only reflecting your thoughts and your feelings back to you. They're mirroring you. They're nothing. It's just your reminders.
Wow. When you explain, suddenly it becomes so simple and you feel like, यार ये तो बिल्कुल clear था. मैं खुद complicate करके, like how we complicate our own things.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
मेरी speciality है वो.
Seher,
Yeah,
hi Seher.
yeah. Go ahead.
Seher, आपके ना ये love वाले chapter में से, can you hear me?
Yes, of course I can.
Yeah. Okay. आपके love वाले chapter में से एक exercise मैंने generate करी है.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that. Okay.
I have generated this exercise
Hmm.
that for a 5 minutes or a 2 minutes, just feel in your body all the need to possess. If
Okay.
मतलब मैंने इसको करके भी देखा कि if I just concentrate on my breath and I feel in my body what is the need to possess in me. तो मेरी body tight हो जाती है because we all have all these emotions. Okay, if I would like to feel, तो वो होता है, feel होता है that your nerves get tightened. Okay, then I designed this कि पहले इसको fully feel करो, पूरी तरह से feel करो, then release it पूरी wholly and completely, then loosen up yourself. Okay, so I made some points कि क्या क्या चीजें feel करनी चाहिए. I tried this on my own self. The need to possess. Then in a one circle I put fear of loss. Then in one circle of lack consciousness, fully and totally feel it fully in your body. Then fear of loneliness or fear of left alone with yourself. So I designed this exercise from this chapter of love, and I tried it on myself, and I can really कुछ एक चीजें थी जो मैं अपनी बॉडी पे नहीं फील कर पाई, मे बी वो कम था, बट बहुत सारी चीजें थी तो जो कि मैं बहुत इजीली फील कर पा रही थी.
What is the objective of this exercise?
देखो, to just आप कहते हो कि everything, your body denotes everything. Every emotion is denoted by your own body. But how? Where I am storing? क्या मैं स्टोर कर रही हूँ? Somewhere we are in a denial कि नहीं मेरे साथ ऐसा नहीं है, मैंने कभी ऐसा नहीं किया. Maybe
No, got that. Suman, I got that. I want to know what is the objective. What is it that you want to ask about?
No, I just want to tell you कि I derived this, then I released it. So it really worked.
Okay, that's a good thing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Sahar.
Yeah, hi. Who's this?
I'm Winkle.
Oh, hi, Winkle. Yeah. You don't have the picture, no? So
because my room is in a mess with the kids and all around.
No problem. No, it's fine. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so on page 48, you had mentioned karma is not punishment, right? So I just wanted to know, why is that we have to suffer in the lifetime because of our previous karma, if it's not a punishment?
Okay, so karma is not the punishment, but karma is a cause of an effect of a cause. And because this whole of universe is energy and nothing can ever be destroyed, so even our past lifetimes and whatever deeds and thoughts and feelings and intentions we have had, it can never be destroyed. Energy works in cycle, so whatever starts, it has to end. Now, because it has started from me, let's say the thought of jealousy started from me, it has to come back to me and end. But the process for it to come and end is that during this whole process, it attracts all the people who have had similar thoughts and similar experiences. So by the time it completes its cycle and come back to me, it has become really heavy because it is absorbing all frequencies like itself, right? So it's not a punishment. It is just an energy cycle completing itself. Okay. So now, guys, can so much of noise in the background, please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. There's too much disturbance. Okay. So karma is not a punishment, but nevertheless, because it is started at some point and it could not be destroyed, it has to be completed. Now, if we become aware of it at any point, that this is happening because of this, then we can actually dilute the effect, because awareness always dilutes the effect and actually can burn karma. So then we don't have to go through it again. Now, why it feels like punishment is not because someone is sitting there wanting to punish us, but it feels like punishment because this cycle becomes a loop and we are unable to come out of it. And from just the pain, it becomes a suffering. Like in one of the past lives that I experienced with a client, that she was going through a past life where she was abused a lot sexually in a past life, and then in the next life she came and she became an abuser as a male person, and towards the end of the life, that now male person felt that, what is the point? I have done so much wrong, because he was a pimp, I think, in a brothel or something, and he had done a lot of wrong. But he wanted to do this because wrong had happened to him. So the revenge, or whatever, your unfinished business or revenge. So now when at this moment, this person who is looking at these past lives, then move to another lifetime, where, because in both male and female, it had suffered so much, it became a transgender. And it had challenged God and asked God that, why can't someone have no gender, so that no abuse will happen to them? So it became a transgender, and then where more abuse happened. You see? So it's not really punishment, but because it is a loop, the suffering becomes so much, and then we feel as if it is a punishment.
Okay.
Sir, I have one question.
Sure.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
So, continuing with that example, so when that person became transgender, so why would abuse happen again?
Because he had not learned the lesson. Her lesson in the first one was, you have to stand up for your right. So instead of she fighting and running away from the abuser, she gave in.
Okay.
And then she became a prostitute. In the second life, instead of learning that I could have fought and run, instead of wanting to take revenge and become a pimp and not get so many women abused, it didn't learn the lesson to stand up for what is the righteous thing.
Yeah.
So now again in the transgender life, it was abused, because the lesson was to learn to stand up and claim your power and say no to abuse.
Okay.
It had not learned it, no?
Okay.
Yeah, Sahar, I have a question.
Yeah.
So basically, like in your one of your chapters, the earlier ones, you have mentioned about the Delhi incident also. So my question is, why would a soul choose such a painful thing for oneself? I mean, why is it that such a painful thing to learn a lesson? And this is one example. There must be some more, numerous things going on in different forms in the world. So why would a soul do that? Why doesn't the source or someone, help in that?
Source will not help in nothing. It is your experience. It is your level, what you want to go through. It is how you want to evolve. Source doesn't care unless you are messing up with way too many people, and in a way that is slowing the process of the evolution. Then the source comes in between and says, you know what, enough. Let's take you off this existence. But before that, how does source care what experiences you want to go through? You really think 7 billion people, source is sitting and saying who's eating what and who's going through what? It doesn't care. It's energy. It's not some person sitting somewhere. The way we understand love and compassion is not the way source understands love and compassion. We have a lot of masala in our love and compassion. Source is very clear. My love for you is to allow you to experience what you want to experience. If you feel helpless, and if you genuinely, out of gratitude, you ask for my help, I will intervene. Not otherwise. That's the true compassion, but we don't understand it. Now, what happens is, I haven't done an FC for Nirbhaya case. One day, probably, I would do. Now that you have put the question in, probably in one of the FCs, we will do it. But whenever the divine allows us. But it is the contract between that soul and that group of people who have done whatever they have done to her. I can't with definite answer tell you why it happened, but I can definitely tell you it could have not happened if, as per the soul contract, she would have not allowed it to happen. Now, that doesn't mean that she at a physical level wanted something like this to happen, or rape is okay, or murder is okay. I definitely do not advocate that. And I couldn't sleep for so many nights despite knowing all of this. It is definitely something so animalistic and inhuman that I can't even think about it. You need to have a brain of not even animal, I don't know, a demon to do something like that, right? But what I know is, for a fact, that nothing can ever harm you or touch you unless at the soul level there has been a contract, there has been given permission, and it is for a greater good of something. Now, what is that greater good? I don't know. Maybe for too long in India, we have been raising our sons wrong way. Maybe we have hidden a lot of stuff in India under the carpet, which now has to come with this case up so that we raise our sons better. As women, we change the way we think. And instead of going and aborting girl children and telling our girls not to do a lot of things, we raise our men in a way that they are human and they behave, with women well. Maybe she had to bring this awareness to us and tell us this is the filth which is happening. Because after that, how many cases has happened? People are raping 5 months old child, a 40-day-old girl, a 90-year-old woman. So it means it is here where we have gone wrong. It has nothing to do with the physical body. So maybe she had chosen to come and bring us awareness and show us that what you are doing with the society and your sons is the worst thing that you are doing to human consciousness. I don't know what was her, Becky. Probably we'll do an FC one day. But that is to my understanding, and maybe I'm naive and maybe I'm wrong at this moment. But there has to be something for the greater good of India and probably the whole of the world.
Sir, I have one question related to this. I understand कि soul contract था और सब कुछ था. But what about the trauma she goes through at that moment? वो तो इस life का trauma हुआ ना, which she has gone through. What about that memory, that trauma memory?
Guys, please understand, this is something I haven't done any work on, and I don't want to just shoot my mouth and say something on such a sensitive case, which has shaken the entire world, forget about India. So I really can't answer anything about her case at this moment. And I rather not, because this video is going to go viral and it's going to be on the net. And I don't want to get into something I absolutely have no. And the pain the family has gone through, I think we should not really discuss it on a platform like this. The moment I have an answer, I will share it with the close people who would be in the FC, not publicly. Because try and understand, the whole of, it's only 0.00001% of people who are interested in healing their karma. The rest of the world is very happy earning money and throwing it away. So we are a very limited number of people. We feel we are too many because like-minded people connect and the energy connects, but we are not very many. If we have a 7.5 billion population, 7.3 billion population in the whole of the earth, probably people who are interested in changing something in themselves won't be even 70 lakhs. So we are very small, So I don't want to say something about something I have no idea. The part of it I have an idea, I can tell you, but the physical pain she went through, why she chose to, I don't know, unless we do an FC for it. You can note it down, and if we do FC, if the divine allows, you can check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other question? I want each one of you to tell me at least one message you have got from the book. That's very important to me. What is that one message which has touched you?
Just be.
Okay.
Just to be. And there is a big question mark. How do we just be?
Yeah,
it's a very big question mark.
It's a practice.
There,
So somewhere you say.
Yeah.
No, there are a lot of them.
Please carry on.
No, please go ahead.
So as she said, it's just be. Then love is about total acceptance, basically, of everything that was there. And then a very important thing, I'm not the doer. The realization of your ego self. Basically, like every chapter, Sahar, has a message. So we can't just say one message, because there are also so many things that I have to learn from every chapter.
Yeah, and
I want to discuss that victim chapter.
A room.
Totally.
No, Sahar, it's
one by one. Go one by one.
It's like you go to a place which is like has the yummiest dessert, and you say just pick one. So you're cheating.
Okay, thank you.
What I think here is, I have started looking at myself as a soul. I mean, the whole book, it talks about the soul and not the body. And somewhere down the line, when it talks about death also, I mean, death is also not intimidating, because You are the soul. You're not the
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
So that feeling, no, that you are the soul and you cannot be harmed. What you say in the book is just beautiful. And you have these perfect one-liners in the book, like, the religion is the biggest weapon of mass destruction, which is a fact. And how we are seeing it every day, that how religion is being used. So wonderful. So the soul part of it, that soul, that I am the soul, is really, it's my best
Thank
part.
you. Thank you. I'm so glad you shared that. Beautiful.
Hi everyone, this is Rajvan.
Yeah, hi Rajvans.
It's very nice to hear all of you sharing your questions. And Sahar, yeah, you make everything simple, and that's your specialty. Um, she's right. Couldn't remember. I couldn't remember her name, but yes, there are so many lessons from every line. What I want to quote here is when I was reading a book, every line, whatever you have written there, I feel like you are sitting in front of me and you're talking to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm seriously, I'm not able to leave your book even for a minute. Like I go to my office, I just open it. I don't know what it is. I cannot keep my mobile. Like I think I keep your book more than how I keep my mobile with me.
Oh, good. That's good.
That's true. That I agree.
Yeah.
I am even if I'm not reading this book, I am not leaving the house without this book.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm sorry, but the quality of the paper has gone bad because it's been traveling with
I'm
me
keeping it
literally
safe.
everywhere.
Yeah, sometimes it is like I'm not able to concentrate.
There are times I've not read anything, but ये पूरा share करके आएगा मेरे साथ.
Today is that date for me. Today is that day for me. And sometimes it happens that I am not able to concentrate or I'm feeling a little bit low or sad. So I just open the book and I start reading it and it helps.
Thank
Thank
you.
so
Thank
much,
you.
Sahar, for writing it.
God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's all.
I would be sharing your news with all of you very soon. I mean, at the end of this call, and I would also want to take a few suggestions. So I request if you're on the call, you stay till the end because that part is very important for me. And once I tell you why, you would know it. So please just stay. Don't go right now. Okay.
कौन जाएगा छोड़ के?
Anyone else? Anyone else?
Yes.
Yeah, Chetna. Yeah.
So for me, it was this, that my desire is for everyone to be empowered to their fullest potential, where they can lead a joyous life. And also, like, I always tell whoever I meet that anyone who instills any form of fear, dependency, and helplessness in them, no matter who he is and how many followers he has, needs to be discarded immediately. That for me has been the biggest learning.
Wow.
After working with you and this, from this book, that because I felt operating a lot from these, fear and dependency and helplessness was from where I was operating. And
yeah,
this book is really showing light on, that, as you write, that this universe is all about love, freedom, growth, harmony, and expansion. And after going through this book, this has started becoming my paradigm to gauge and experience, like whether I want to do something or not. This has now become my thing. The shift from fear, dependency, and helplessness to love, freedom, and growth, and harmony and expansion. That love and freedom is now how I judge my experiences. Or
beautiful. That's very nice. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, Sahar?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Sadhna.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, dear. Very well. Hanji.
Okay, hi. Yeah, I thought I'll just put in it's the first time I'm using Zoom, so I'm a bit like lost.
No problem. No problem.
But I just wanted to state one thing. I have to confess, I haven't finished reading the book.
That's
But
fine.
I want to, yeah, but I really want to say this, that I know you as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of depth and, seriousness in your personality, and there's also a lot of seriousness in what you've written.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole essence of the book, I'm sure the whole book, and definitely whatever I've read, is it's presented in a very light manner.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so easy to absorb, and it kind of makes you feel that you don't take life too seriously, like one shouldn't,
Yeah.
because then it becomes a burden. It's only when you actually kind of realize that you are a small speck in this entire universe, and you know uh, so much more can be achieved out of taking things in your stride, rather than gravitating or whatever. I mean, making it dense, making it
Mm-hmm.
the energy dense.
Yeah.
I think the whole book has a very light energy as versus a dense energy, though the topics are all extremely serious, and very very, each page is full of stuff which you could have also presented in a holier than thou fashion or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you've put it across with humility, and I really like that.
Thank
And
you.
I haven't yet read it completely, but even then I'm sure the whole uh, book will be similar. So that's really good from my point of view.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You've written
Thank
it,
you
right?
so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Sahar, I have one question.
Yeah.
We talk about soul plan and destiny. I mean, they are interlinked, and destiny. I mean, how are they interlinked, and can we change our soul plan in our lives? Or
Soul plan can't be changed. Soul plan is soul plan unless you finish your karma and you have completed the lessons for this lifetime and your breaths are still left. That's what happened to me, right? The twice born. So unless that happens, you can't change the soul plan. But destiny is how you operate and how do you execute your soul plan. That is where you can make changes.
okay.
You can choose to learn your lesson in 75 years you have, or you can choose to learn your lesson in 40 years and the rest 35 years you choose another lesson, finish that in 10 years, choose another lesson, finish that in 10 years, and actually create so much of good karma that then your soul plan can change. Destiny is your programming, I would say, or your OS for how you execute your soul plan when you're in this physical body with whatever lesson you're supposed to learn. A lot of us miss the lesson actually. As a past life regressionist and in FC, some of you have done with me, you know what I'm saying. I have realized that 99% of the times the soul misses the lesson.
And as mentioned, it is worse it is more severe in the next lifetime.
Yes.
As you have mentioned in your book.
Yes, it is. And I'm not saying that from somewhere out of my head. I have done over 6,000 cases, and now when I wrote this book, I had seen 523, 24 of my past lives. Today, I have seen about 595 or so. So, I'm not just shooting my mouth just for the sake of it. I have seen with my clients also that we miss the lesson, and each time we miss it, it becomes more difficult. You see, I just explained, female life abuse, male life abuse, then transgender life abuse. Now, other than abuse, even acceptance of the society is not there. You get it? So each time it will just become more and more difficult.
Right. And I must add that your book is marvelous. The first time when I read your book, I think I read most of the topics which I found. I read the whole book, but the gist of it was what I found relevant for myself. But now when second time I'm reading it, again I'm finding, there is depth in every single sentence which you have written. And it's really beautiful. Very, very beautiful.
Thank you. I'm humbled. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Sheila, I think you had something. Yes, go ahead.
Just wanted to add that while I was reading and editing the first time, I was lost in the first few pages. I didn't go beyond 10 pages because I was wondering where to start, what to do, how to write, and how to make it things better. Then I think I sent you the first draft. Once you saw and it came back, I think I also started flowing. You also started writing. I guess we had an amazing kind of amalgam, something which was really good for the book, and
Yeah.
I really feel happy with all the inputs that is coming, and it's making me feel really happy. I'm really
Yeah, guys. So it's not only me who's very happy. Even the editor, Miss Sheila Roy, sitting here, she's also very happy.
it's coming up in a way, it's like everybody has taken in so well. It's amazing. I'm really glad.
Thank you for your effort. You have been a great part of this journey. So I'm really grateful.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys. Thanks for sharing the news. So, as you know, my book is self-published, and I never thought if it is doing good or bad or ugly, because that was not the concern. The concern was if people are understanding what I'm trying to say in the book. But the good news is a very big publisher has chosen to do a second edition of my book, because we are running out of the book now.
Wow,
For the first edition.
congratulations.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you. So now your inputs will come in play, because second edition has to be slightly different from the first edition. So please tell me, what do you want me to add to the book? What is it that you feel you wanted? And also, I would be actually creating a workbook where every chapter, what I say, like Suman said, you have said just be or how to be. So I would be giving you exercises in that workbook where you can actually do those exercises and understand what I'm trying to say, how to apply it. But that's a little later. But in the second edition, obviously, we would be adding something, maybe removing something, even though I don't know what I will remove, because there's so much in the
add.
book.
Don't remove
anything. Keep adding.
Yeah, just
Okay.
add, but don't remove anything.
Don't remove
Thank
anything.
you. So
Each
if
line
you
is
can,
precious.
thank you. I am really humbled. If you can, please send me an email with your suggestions, because it's truly very valuable to me. That what is it that you want in the second edition of this book? Let's say you have read, everyone, actually most people are reading this book for the second and third time. I have got many reviews which says that. So if you want to reread this book and really understand it better or apply it better, then what do you think me as an author will add to it that will add value to you? Because the idea of this book is to add value to your life and make who you are and empower you. So what do you think that probably I can add to it? It will be very valuable for me. I will not let a point go amiss. I'm asking because it matters. And last but not the least, please do write a review on Amazon or Facebook.
Mera hata diya.
I know, we will find out why. But please do write your reviews on Facebook, Amazon, any platform. And it is, honestly, it is not for me to sell, because anyways I'm selling and I do it mostly on workshops. But the idea is that if you've benefited, then you should tell people so that they can benefit. I think my mission in life is to remove fear and doubt and help people recognize that what I'm giving in this book, they can also find it in their own selves, and maybe a lot more, because this is nothing, not even 1% of the wisdom we have experienced, but how much ever I could write. So if you have benefited and if you think it is helping you, then isn't it worth that we let our near and dear ones and even the strangers to benefit, and let's make this world a better place, if that's the mission. If we are into this, then let everyone feel freedom and joy and whatever you are feeling. I don't know what you're feeling. However this book has affected you, maybe it will affect someone else in a different way. Maybe it will remove someone from slavery of religion or fears or phobias or OCDs or any problem, relationship, whatever. So please do your bit. and help me, and also help those whom we don't even know who they are. But if we can help anyone, how does it matter if we know them or not? I think we should do it. So, but the first part, the first request is even more important. Please do write an email to me and tell me what do you like to see more in this book. If you want me to explain something more, if you want some, exercises or something you feel is amiss, maybe I have not pointed something out which is an important part of your life and you want answers to, I would be very open to new suggestions. And remember, I have a deadline by the new publisher, so please let me know.
Sahar, I would love to read all your compilation of case studies. You should write a book on that, because I
am
enjoy
writing.
reading.
That's my second book.
Oh, that's nice.
Seriously, very right.
So book
very
that
interesting
for
case
me
studies.
right now.
When is the book coming out?
Sorry?
When is the book coming out? The next book?
Because I have to complete the second edition, maybe that would be coming out towards the end of the year, because first I have to go for the second edition. That's how it works, it seems, in the publication, in the publishing business. I'm not sure, but that definitely is coming this year, maybe July, August, I'm not sure, but around that time, before September.
All the luck. Wishing you all the luck, Sahar.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
Thank you.
Sahar,
yeah,
just one small suggestion that's the only thing. Your book has so much that you've gone through so much, and it's commendable, it's amazing. So reading, it's inspiring, but the only thing is, क्या कोई common बंदे को भी इतना कुछ हो सकता है?
Yeah, I know. Some people have told me this, that how can only one person go through so much?
You've gone through so much. Matlab, it's really like hats off to you. Like, it's amazing how you've handled, and we know we've seen you go through all that. So maybe, add a little touch of it कि हमारे लिए भी hope है.
But I take the suggestion. I don't know how I can add that, because
I really don't know how to write it.
Because the idea is to focus on the messages. Everyone has a soft story, and everyone has
Your workbook idea is an awesome idea. It's remember that the one prophecy book
Celestine Prophecy.
Yeah. It had a parallel workbook of every chapter. That would be a wonderful idea for this.
That's actually not my idea. That's the publisher's idea.
Oh, okay.
But
Good
it's
idea.
okay. I take it very
अच्छा publisher है.
Okay. So, any other question? Anything else that you think I should address?
That will be all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nidhi, for being here.
Thank you, Sahar. All the best.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. It was lovely chatting with all of you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
This was
Thank
lovely.
you so much, Sahar.
Thank you, Sahar.
Thank you.
Best wishes
All
to
the
you.
best.
Thank you for the book.
God bless. Thank you
Thanks,
for being
Sheila.
a part of it.
Maybe Sahar, you can write a little more about yourself in the back cover or inside somewhere.
Okay. What do you want me to write about myself?
So much.
I don't know, like maybe the back cover info is like Jyotika was mentioning that maybe they like it's strange that so much has happened to you, so maybe you can just elaborate on that or something.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm just thinking.
Okay.
Think over it.
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Yeah.
No, maybe
Any
we can
other
get
suggestions?
some famous celebrities or someone famous in the industries to get a small feedback, like a lot of these books have at the back.
Yeah, I really don't. I'm not good with such things. So maybe just
Yeah.
one second, guys. 1 second.
Let's see, we can all try in our circles, see if we